Hey, what's going on? Scott Taylor with SanDiegoRealCenter.com. In this video, why don't we talk about the 7 top tactics to use when you want to buy in San Diego, but you live someplace else. Now, obviously, I've helped clients do this, but a personal story about me. Obviously, I've talked a lot about I got involved in real estate right after September 11th in 2001, and sometime in late 2001 or maybe early 2002, I went into a Live and Invest Overseas type conference that happened to be in San Diego. So, and for anybody that knows anything about conferences, there's really only a few major companies that do, Live and Invest Overseas, International Living, Agora Inc., Stansberry Research, etc. But it was one of those conferences in San Diego, and they had real estate agents, lawyers, entity formations, etc., but from other countries come to give presentations about what they're talking about. One happened to be a husband and wife couple from Buenos Aires, Argentina, talking about real estate on the ground in Argentina after their crash in 2001, 2002 with their devaluation and that kind of thing. So I was there. Obviously, they were very intelligent people, presented some things. I understood it. I understood the currency arbitrage. And I personally bought something in San Diego with them, or, signed to buy it, overstage payments with them in something in Buenos Aires, Argentina, without ever having to been to Argentina at that time, or maybe I had, I don't think so, for having never been to Argentina at that time, based off of basic system principles that, I kind of pivoted off of other people and then used to my own. So that's what I want to talk about right now in this video. How could you be living outside of San Diego? Maybe have never visited San Diego, or you have, but it's been a while, or San Diego's changed and you haven't done it. How could you do it? Especially dealing with someone like me, who I bought it in many, many overseas countries that I've talked about a little bit. I bought it sight unseen, especially now with technology. It's not as hard as what people think, and I want to dial it down. But first, a few stats about San Diego that you might not know or realize. San Diego County actually has a population of about 3.4 million people. Now, the city of San Diego might have about 1.5, 1.6, but if you want to go out to Borrego or Carlsbad or Escondido or Julian or outside that little smaller area, the county is 3.4 million people. San Diego County has 4,200 square miles of land. To put that in perspective, that is more land than Rhode Island and Delaware combined. San Diego is always and routinely ranked in the top 10 of U.S. destinations in terms of travel in general, and always the top 5 in terms of beach travel, especially for the summer. I get a lot of people go to Florida for the beaches. A lot of people go to Hawaii for the beaches. Besides those two, San Diego is always in the top for those areas. And obviously, as we know, San Diego is currently one of the more expensive cities to live in the U.S. And I bring this up, just to show how big and vast San Diego is as far as land, right? You can go from the beach, you can go to the mountains where there's snow. Obviously, there's deserts. You could drive for a couple of hours out to the border. And I wanted to put it in terms of, how much it costs to in relation to other people, and then how we can dial this down and how you can buy in San Diego. So why don't we go through some of my 7 top tactics, and these aren't earth-shattering. I think this is just figuring out what you want to do and dialing it down into something that makes sense, right? Like, it's not hard to write a book if you write 1,000 words a day, and that's what we're doing right now for your real estate purchase. So tactic number 1 is, have you ever been to San Diego? Like my example with Argentina. I had never been to Argentina at the time. I'd never been to Buenos Aires at the time. It's a huge, very large city, very, very populated there. I had never been. So I had to use resources that I had and listen to the experts I was listening to kind of dial it down. So to put things in perspective, if you've never been to San Diego, it does make it a little bit harder for you, especially without talking to somebody on the ground that understands this kind of stuff. What's the difference between Escondido, which is inland, all right, off of the 78, and Solana Beach? On a map, it's like it's right there. But why is Escondido so much less expensive housing-wise, but you can get bigger houses than Solana Beach, which are a little bit older houses maybe, or might have a little bit more communities that are newer, but houses cost more? If you've never been, then you kind of have to rely on the information that people give you, right? or we're talking about maybe dissecting a little bit more. So, hey, what are the big differences between, Normal Heights and North Park, which are really close and very similar to City Heights, which is literally a couple of miles away. But anybody that's been to City Heights, it's drastically different than some place like Normal Heights or University Heights or North Park or different pockets. So if you haven't ever been, then you need to rely on the ground. Now, if you have been, then it's a little bit easier. Like, okay, cool. Well, I've flown into downtown San Diego. I like the downtown scene, but maybe it's not for me. And I really don't want to go south of downtown to areas like Chula Vista, maybe, or Otay or National City. It's just not my vibe. I know it's only about 20 or 30 minutes on the freeway to the border and close to Imperial Beach. Then you might say, hey, I've been up to North County. I've been to to like La Jolla or Del Mar or Solana Beach. So once you kind of know a little bit of areas, right, I would say that's number one. So whether you've never been there and you get some help to kind of dial down what you're looking for, or whether you have, I would say area is number one, okay? So tactic number two is budget. I actually wanted to put this number one, but we did area first. But tactic number two is, what is your budget, okay? So I don't personally care if you're paying cash, right? Or if you're getting a mortgage loan. Everybody has a budget, okay? I have people, obviously, that call and say, hey, Scott, I saw this, saw that about you. You're San Diego's best areas to live. I wanted to, help you, or you help me find something. And I'm great. Haven't been to San Diego. Then what's your budget? They say, hey, don't worry about budget. So I say, awesome. So then you have a blank check. And if anything comes on the market up to $100 million, you can pay cash, right? Then obviously they think I'm joking or think I'm being a jerk, and I'm really not. I'm trying to make a point. There's always a budget. So if your budget is $500,000, then you're only looking in an area and a budget that will allow that. If you have a budget of $3 million, then you're probably going to be a little bit higher line, obviously. If you have a budget up to $10 million, that's completely different. Right? And then we're going to dial down, well, if you are getting a mortgage loan, let's say you're going with a VA or an FHA loan, right? A lot of people right now, VA outside of San Diego, coming to San Diego, and they're buying with a VA loan. Great. Well, let's keep in mind, if you're buying with a VA loan, the house or townhome condo needs to be livable, right? So it can't be a fixer-upper on a VA loan. It has to be livable. And by the way, if you're buying a townhome or condo on a VA loan, it has to be a VA-approved townhome and condo complex. Likewise, if you're going with an FHA loan, it has to be livable. It has to be an FHA-approved townhome or complex, if a townhome or condo, if you're buying that complex. So there, right? If you're going with a USDA loan, which is agriculture, places like Fallbrook or Julian or Ramona or Campo or someplace a little bit further away, that's address specific. You're not going to use a USDA loan in Carlsbad. You're not going to use a USDA loan downtown San Diego. So it's very, very specific to not only understand the area, and then number two, your budget, right? And then, part of that subset is, are you paying cash? And then what's your budget for paying cash? Then if you're getting a loan, what's your budget for the loan? But then dialing down with the loan specifically. What kind of loan are you using? Again, if you have your pre-approved lender or your lender that you like, perfect. As I mentioned, I'm licensed to do real estate and loans. I do both, so I can help you if you don't have somebody that you like. Then it's dialing down on your loan. Let's be very specific. If you're USDA, that's address specific in the countryside. If you're VA or FHA and it's a townhome or condo, those have to be approved. So let's dial that down. So tactic number three is dial down on specifics, okay? So if we're looking for a home, or are we looking for a townhome condo, or are we looking for a multifamily, okay? Then what are the minimum bedrooms and bathrooms, okay? And then how about square feet, right? If we want a home and a minimum 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, do we have a minimum on square feet? If we're getting a condo, do we have a minimum on square feet? Then obviously it's things like other things, like do you want a private pool? Well, if you want a private pool, obviously we're probably going to be going with a home. Or do you want to live in a community that has a pool? Or do you not want to live in a community whatsoever? A lot more people right now I'm filming this, at the end of July and early start of August, a lot more people want to get out of the major cities of LA, in San Francisco, in San Jose, and Phoenix, a lot of the bigger areas, And their view is, hey, I want to come from LA to maybe live in Julian or Ramona or get a little bit more land, or just simply the traffic in LA is, unbearable for us, even though it slowed down a little bit. We're coming to San Diego and we're looking for, specific things. So then it's dialing down on, once we have the area and we have your budget specifically on homes, condos, townhomes, multifamily, then kind of one follow-up on that though is don't be too specific at the start. Sometimes, again, depending on your budget, but sometimes, as a for instance, if someone says, hey, I want a home because of a yard, but it doesn't fit the budget, then it's like, okay, cool. What if you got a townhome or condo that actually had a bit of yard? What do you want the yard for? Well, I kind of want the yard for my animal or my dog or my kids, but they're young but not too big. Okay, what if, if it was actually a townhome or condo, but you actually had a bit of a yard? So don't dial it down too far at the start until you really, really know. So the tactic number 4, of course, is once you're starting to dial it down, is view targeted searches, right? So you're going to look at the specific areas, the specific price points, whether you want a home, townhome, or condo, and dial it down. Then you want to view targeted searches. So we're going to keep it kind of broad at the start, or you should keep it broad at the start, however you're going to do it, hopefully with me, but however you're going to do it. At the start, keep it broad until you start seeing things. Now, this could be, do it for a year, do it for 6 months, do it for 3 months. I have a lot of people like, hey, Scott, I have a short time frame. I want to find something within the next couple of weeks because of everything that's going on right now, or I'm selling my home and I want to move there before maybe, around when school's supposed to start, whether it's in person or whether it's from home, but I want to start dialing it down. So it could be dialing down as soon as you want. So once you start getting listings and once you start getting things that you like, keep those. And if you don't like specific areas or specific things, get rid of them. Don't look at things that you don't like thinking you might like it. If you don't like it, just cut it off and move on to the next thing. Okay. Tactic number 5 is technology. So with technology, it makes viewings easy. I laugh. I'm almost 42. And when I first started on this, as I've talked about a little bit, technology wasn't the same. It's almost like internet was just coming out. It wasn't easy to see pictures. It wasn't easy to do virtual tours or 3D tours or, any of those kind of things that were, you could look online now and see exactly what it is with Google search and Google view and 3D and aerial and drone footage. Back then, it was tougher and you kind of went off of your gut instinct. Now, being there helps a little bit more, of course, just to see it. But you can see it just like you are there. So tactic number 5, is that technology makes viewings very, very easy. And, it's called the armchair investor, or there's different, things on that, or the armchair real estate buyer, where you can really be sitting, obviously looking at your smartphone or at your computer and looking at the house from a drone, doing a 3D walkthrough, looking at all the pictures, looking at the video. You can do Google Earth, Google Street View. You can really do Google Maps to do drive times. You can really do all of that from the comfort of your own home. Tactic number 6, as far as technology. So let's assume you found something. Let's assume you have a price point, you have the areas, you dial it down, you start getting listings, you make an offer. How does it work as far as paperwork, as far as inspections, as far as appraisal, as far as all those things? So technology makes things very, very simple. So, obviously these days with paperwork, we use DocuSign or some kind of e-sign where all escrow and title and real estate paperwork is just sent via email. We use digital signatures to make it easy. We don't have to use hard copies for all these different things anymore. You can use digital signatures. Now, of course, we're still going to do things like have a licensed home inspector come out to the property. Well, you don't have to be there for a licensed home inspector to come out to the property. As a matter of fact, even when people live in San Diego, most of them don't even go out to the property anyways. I or a team member is there. We have a licensed third-party home inspector go out and inspect the property. And then you get a big, thick PDF of everything that they did, room by room, object by object, what was actually done. So whether you're there or not, you still get a report. Obviously, if you get a loan, there's no question you have to use a licensed third-party home inspector, home appraiser to come out and appraise the home, and they base that off of what's active, pending, especially sold in the direct market, but a lot of cash buyers also want to pay to get their own appraisal just to make sure that their numbers work. Or maybe they're going to do something a little bit more higher end as far as finances, and maybe they're taking out a loan against something else, paying cash on the property, but that loan on something else wants it. So there could be some other things that you want. So tactic number 6 is technology makes the actual transaction very, very simple. And I'm going to go on to tactic number 7, the after close ease. So we go through the transaction. You don't personally have to be there. Then it's like, do I have to fly there, at closing? No, you don't. At closing, you will do, what's called wet signatures, or, in-person signatures with a notary. But regardless of where you live and regardless of where the notary lives, there's a mobile notary that can meet you wherever you are in your local area to sign those. But the after close ease, is once escrow closes, okay, keys. How do you get keys? We could do something as simple as putting a push button lockbox on the property. And by doing that, obviously, you can come and go whenever you want. You can have your own people doing work. You can have your own handy people. If you have furniture delivered, right? All of those types of things can be done now with technology. And don't forget, you can install your own security system. You don't have to be there. You can have somebody else install your own security system at your front door or back door, so you can see who's going to come in and out of your property. Another good example is I helped clients from a lot more people from San Francisco. Clients from San Francisco. They happened to one of them happened to come down on a conference in San Diego. Hey Scott, I'm there for literally 8 hours. It was something like 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. of viewings or something. Here's a property that I want. I'm going to be there. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to go back home. I'm going to talk over with my spouse. I'm going to let you know of the one that we want. And we're never going to go back to the property, or at least for a long period of time, because we're going to buy it. And then we're going to have it fixed up. Or we're going to have it furnished. We're going to have it rented out. And we're personally not going to be there. And that's exactly what they did. They came down, they viewed, they found several that they liked. They went back and they ran the numbers. We found the one that they liked. We put the offer in, offer got accepted. We did the whole transaction with them being in wherever they were, I believe San Francisco. And then we closed. They actually got a loan with their preferred lender up there. They signed those up there. We had a mobile notary, or they had their mobile notary do that. All the real estate paperwork was done via e-signatures, so we didn't have to worry about that. At close, I went ahead and we put a lockbox at the property, which is a push button lockbox with their own code, just to kind of keep it simple, because not everybody is very good with their phones and some different things. And then from there, they had, and which they arranged, they had people that went to the property to put bids on, to fix things up, flooring and paint, some construction, some plumbing, electric, etc. Then they had people come in and furnish it. Once that was done, they were doing some kind of short-term rental thing, not with me, with somebody else. Those people came out and put bids, and then they used it as a rental. And then actually, as I'm telling the story, part of this during the transaction, they actually had a summer home in Spain. So we were just communicating via email and via text, doing that. So it's very, very probable, very, very simple. That's it. I'm going to leave it there. What do you think? I'd love to hear what your comments are. Leave a comment below, or obviously shoot me a call, email, or text. I really appreciate you watching this far, and I'd love to chat with you sometime soon.